Hello, hello. Welcome to our episode 41 of the Ellie Talks podcast, your insight in the sustainable world of fashion and textiles. Today, we have a special team on challenges and opportunities in the secondhand textile market. And our guest today is Ellie.Connect, your project manager at Herwin. Welcome, Ellie.
Thank you.
Before we get started on the topic itself, we always like to start with getting to know the guest today. You work at the heart of circular textiles, one of my favorite topics, I think. But looking beyond your job, what fascinates you or inspires you in life?
Well, there are many different things that I find inspiring, but I think, if I'm honest, I do like to retreat in nature. I do like traveling. I like adventurous traveling. So being surrounded with nature and finding the peace and the calm, that works inspiring for me to tranquilize my head also a little bit. So if I'm being honest, that's important to me. Yeah.
Okay, and do you have a favorite region to travel to?
Well, when I was a child, my parents took me to Scandinavia every year. We did canoe trips and went hiking. So that will always have a special place in my heart. But I've been discovering many different parts of the world. So.
Sounds amazing. If you would be able to select one object that symbolizes your vision on circularity, sustainability, what would it be for you?
I wouldn't think of an object specifically, but I do, again, referring to this nature, to see ecosystems and how nature works, the complexity of it, a system in which every piece has a part to play. Every organic thing has a role to play. I do see that as a beautiful example of circularity, actually, and I think it's something that we could learn a lot from, especially in Belgium. Sometimes I feel people are a little bit disconnected from nature, and I think it's good sometimes to look to nature as an example of how circularity actually works.
Okay. Great. We're overlooking a little part of nature behind us. And we're doing our best here. But still, it's nice. So maybe let's zoom into your current function, zoom into Herwin. Can you maybe explain what Herwin does and what the mission of the company is?
Yes. So Herwin is the umbrella organization of social and circular enterprises in Flanders. So you have social and circular. Social in the sense that our organizations employ people who face employment challenges because of many various reasons, and circular because the organizations we have as members always work in a circular way. They focus on repair, rental, reuse, remanufacturing. It can be in textile sectors, but it can also be in green maintenance or in the food industry. But with a focus on circularity. Yes.
Okay, let's talk about reuse. So can you maybe walk us through the process, how this is implemented at Herwin or Kringwinkels?
Yes, so the Kringwinkels are one of our members. Oxfam is also, for example. And the main focus of the Kringwinkels is maximize local reuse. So we are experts at collecting and sorting textiles. The main focus is to try to reuse locally as much as possible. So in general, the numbers, we have a pretty good reuse number. It's 26% local reuse, and about 10% is being incinerated of the textiles that we collect. And the rest, it's 64% is being exported for reuse outside of Flanders.
Okay, and to what extent, because we had some guests already when it comes to sorting and collecting, to what extent do your processes already have been digitalized or automized?
Yeah, it's something that we are developing. It's still not yet on point, At this moment, we are trying, we're actually testing to implement AI technology to scan the products that come in. So this is actually something we can already do. The AI technology analyzes what type of product. It can also be non-textiles. And then with ChatGPT technology, it gives a description of the item. So it's to make the process easier, to put it online, to put it on our website where people can buy the item. So this is in general for the different product types. It's a testing that we're doing in Atelier, which is the kringwinkel of Ghent. And in the kringwinkel of Antwerp, they also have a setup with an AI scanner specifically for textiles that scans the item and defines what is the size, the gender, maybe the type of item. And then again, with the same idea to put it in on the website or make a database out of it. But it's not yet implemented on an industrial scale. It's still in development.
But still, you're already testing and trying new
Yeah,
technologies, which
for
is
sure.
of course important.
It's coming for sure.
And let's talk about social economy. What makes it unique with comparison to the regular economy?
So the organizations that we support have employers with a labor market disadvantage. There are people that cannot find a job easily on the regular labor market. This can be because of psychosocial issues. How do you say? Addiction issues, because maybe of poor housing conditions, poverty background. And the idea of social economy is that even these people find their place on the market on the market grounds, and that the job is being adapted to them instead of that they have to adapt to the type of job. The job is being adapted to their needs and what their capacities, because often they cannot, they have a kind of a productivity loss. We get subsidized to make up for that loss in productivity.
Okay, and does technology help there as well? For them?
It could, yes. And that's also what I personally believe, because sometimes technology is being seen as a threat for social labor, for social economy. But I actually see it as a balance. It can be enrichment for them, also to learn these AI technologies and to learn to implement them in their day-to-day job. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. There has been quite some discussions lately about the influx of textiles. You as well. A few weeks ago, you expressed your concerns about this on LinkedIn. Can you maybe outline the current situation a little bit? What is happening to that textile flow today?
Yeah. The past year, we felt a lot of pressure, not only in the kringwinkels or Oxfam, but it's a pressure in general in the textile industry. So in my point of view, there are two main issues. First, we see an increase in the amount of volumes of textiles that are being pushed on the market. So there are just too many textiles. There is being produced too much. And because of that, there's also being consumed too much. So we have more and more incoming textiles in our centers. So that's one thing. And the second thing is that there's also a decline of quality. So this is really about the yarns, the length of the yarns, the thickness of the yarns. So how it's being spun, woven. There's a decline in quality, mainly because of fast fashion ID, putting up items as fast as possible on the market, and the cost is the quality of the pieces. And this results in that we cannot reuse everything anymore. So we have to incinerate more. And I also brought this up in my LinkedIn post, I think. Compared to last year, 2 years ago, we had incineration of 10%, which I just told you. But last year, it increased with 17%.
Wow.
So it's almost double. And this is, on one hand, because the quality is low and the amounts are just too much. So normally we incinerate non-reusable textiles. They are not good enough. But last year we also saw we had to incinerate some reusable fractions. And that, of course, is an alarm for us, because that's not what we are aiming for. We want to reuse as much as possible. And the fact that we are being forced to even incinerate reusable pieces, that definitely triggered a
Message.
a message, exactly.
And how are kringwinkels dealing with that, or other partners? What are the opportunities perhaps for them?
Yes. Of course, it's difficult, because on one hand we wanna, like, they wanna pull the alarm bell, because they wanna make notice of this issue, but on the other hand they don't wanna lose their incoming textile streams. It's an important product group for them. So they don't wanna give the message to people that they cannot donate textiles anymore. But on the other hand, to find solutions, some kringwinkels have rented extra stocking place in the idea that it's only temporarily. Or some have also been looking for new buyers that can buy more textiles. So it depends a little on the kringwinkel, because they decide for themselves. But for sure, I see a need for policy making here, to find solutions for this.
And that's what the call to action was about
Yes,
as
exactly.
well.
Yes.
So you talked about the reuse part, then you have the export part. You mentioned a portion of the collected textiles are exported as well. What type of textiles qualify for that, and what happens to them?
Yes, good question.
I think a
Many
lot of people are
don't-
wondering.
Yeah. It's for many people, it's like a black box, right? I've also, when I started with Herwin, I went to help to sort myself for a day. So I also saw it with my own eyes. The kringwinkels in general are very precise in their sorting. So only reusable items will be sorted to sell locally or to export. If it's not reusable, it will be incinerated. But, and we have to be honest about this, many consumers here have a different standard regarding quality, or maybe the styles of items that they want to buy. So we cannot sell everything locally. And that's when the export comes up. So in general, I looked this up, and from Western Europe, we export the most textiles to Eastern Europe, Pakistan, Ukraine, and different African countries, Kenya, Ghana, Tanzania, and Angola. There are more countries, but these are the main countries that we export to. And often there in those countries is a strong secondhand market built to sell these items there.
Okay. And are there any challenges related to this export story as well? Because I can assume that it cannot continue there as well.
Yeah, it's definitely also when I started, I had a lot of questions about it, and it's definitely something that we are adding to the vision and the missions of kringwinkels, is to have more transparency in the whole export market. It's more of a general issue that there is not much transparency where the items go to. Also, to be clear, we don't export ourselves. We sell to buyers and they export. But so what we try is to only work with exporters that are, how do you say that, recognized by OVAM. And then also we work with exporters that are members of TES. And so TES is an European organization which core purpose is to help build an economic alternative that respects people and environment. And they have a specific certification for this. So we try to work with exporters with this certificate. So for us that is important, but we can definitely still improve. And things like a digital product passport could help also in tracing the items around the world. Yeah.
But still, in my view, you import textiles in Europe and then you export, use it, and then export it again. Might not be the most sustainable model. Is there any questioning in the sector itself about the long-term viability of this type of model?
Yeah, I think there are definitely, as you point out, some moral questions about it, because the items we export are actually reusable. Why can't we reuse them here? Why do we have to ship them off to people that are not as rich and maybe have lower standards? So I think there are definitely some moral questions we should ask. However, there are two comments that I want to add to that question. First thing is that when an item is being discarded, the most sustainable thing we can do is to reuse it. Maybe you repair it first or you remanufacture it, but then reusing it is the best solution. And often what I see happening right now is that the recycling hype or the buzzword recycling is often being mentioned as a solution for the exported textiles. But in my point of view, it would not be sustainable to recycle reusable items. So I think there is a default in the way of thinking, and sometimes I feel like recycling is being used a little bit too easily as a solution, with the idea then we can keep consuming, we can keep producing because we can recycle it, right? And sometimes I feel that it's a little bit of it sounds like a quick fix, but it's not so easy at all. So I would focus on reusing. And then the second point I wanted to add, those markets in those secondhand economies. So for example, Ghana. I was in Ghana myself last December, and I visited the Kantamanto market, which is the biggest secondhand market in the world. It's one of the biggest. And I was really amazed by the ingenuity and the efficiency that the vendors had to reuse every piece. So they would make the effort to repair something or to wash it first and then iron it. All these steps to keep the product in a circular life while we would just incinerate it. And I do think that's also an inspiration for us maybe to rethink our own approach to reusing, because I think sometimes it's being shoved away a bit too easily, while actually there's a lot of opportunities. So if we would become stronger in that, we would be able to reuse more locally.
Hi, this is Amélie, Community Manager for Ellie.Connect, interrupting just briefly your favorite podcast to ask you this question. Are you ready to make sustainability a priority? Are you ready to take concrete actions? Ellie.Connect offers you the network, the tools and the content to help you achieve just that. Go to Ellie.Connect.com and register today. But first, enjoy the rest of the episodes.
Okay, so reduce, reuse,
Yes.
then
Yes.
recycle.
Yeah, recycle.
So
Yes.
I do see indeed your point about export and the reuse. But let's talk a little bit about recycling. Due to the decline in exports, I think your sector as well has been looking into ways of managing the waste streams locally. We talked about incineration, but what new pathways are being exploited when it comes to recycling, for instance?
So from Herwin, we have two research projects running. One of that is the Labs on Fiber project. It's a living lab, so it's from the Flemish government, supported by the Flemish government, and I'm the project coordinator. And actually, in this research project, we research recycling of post-consumer textiles. So we really try to explore the different ways to recycle, but also the steps before recycling, the pre-recycling steps, to collect everything, to sort everything based on the composition. Then everything has to be shredded or trimmed, and then you can recycle. But we do see some obstacles. What we noticed in our lab researches is that there's still very little demand for recycled yarns. And this really was an obstacle because we noticed that, for example, we sorted 10 tons of jeans and then we went to a recycler. And the first question they asked was, oh, so you want to sell it to us, but can you also buy it from us? But yeah, we are sorters, we are not producers. So we really feel like also their policy could support the stimulation of the recycling markets. But besides that, I really do see a lot of potential for recycling. We have some very strong Belgian businesses, also Belgian companies that are doing very innovative work. And if policy would support it, we could really let it grow to an industrial scale. Yes.
So there's again a call to action, I think, to the policymakers
yes, for sure.
listening today. This consortium of the Living Lab is quite unique. So you work with the kringwinkels that are part of Herwin, but also social sorters, Oxfam, We Make Hope. Is there any kind of competition between those in the project? How evident was it to bring all the social sorters together? You're already laughing.
No. Well, of course, they are competitors normally. So in the beginning, of course, that's also my job, of course, to make sure everybody sits together and there's an open spirit, an open mind to communicate, to share. I must say, I felt from the beginning the fact that these organizations already decided to step in this project together, for me it was already a sign of good faith and wanting to cooperate. But of course you have to respect the different identities. So for example, a kringwinkel will put more will put more focus on the social aspect, what we talked about before, while Oxfam, for example, will talk more about ethical aspects. So you have to respect the identity of every organization, but I really do feel the cooperation went well. In the end, we are still coming together now. We're still the project is still running. And in the end now everybody is really sharing the data, the research data, and the idea, or one of the missions of the project was to build this cooperation, and I really hope it will, after the project, it will proceed.
Okay, let's hope so as well. But next to the collaboration between the social sorters, you also have the collaboration between sorters and recyclers. You already talked about the challenge of do you have a demand for it, which is kind of the challenge, I think, in the circular economy as well, the supply-demand issue. How realistic is it that these type of partnerships will be scaled in future as well, so it becomes balanced?
I'm confident it will come. I'm confident the recycling sector will grow, that we need it also. But as I mentioned before, there are still some gaps in the chain. For example, what I mentioned before, the pre-recycling process. We learned from our research that it's still very costly, for example, to trim items. It takes a lot of time. Often there's also a lot of manual labor needed. So those are obstacles that today we still see that have to improve before we can really process tons and tons of textiles. But I'm confident it will grow. I'm confident it will be there. There are many ambitious partners, ambitious organizations who are really jumping right now, who are really going for it. So the attitude or the confidence is there. But we still need a push from policy to support that economy to grow.
And let's talk about the push from policy. How important is eco-design and the EPR, extended producer responsibilities, in this discussion or different legislation? How important is that?
Yeah, the eco-design, it's crucial because that brings me back to the quality. To protect the quality of our market, of the pieces, the eco-design is really essential. Not only the quality, but also to make the disassembly process more easy. We really need designers that think about this, that think about the end of life of a piece. So yeah, eco-design is very important, but also to stimulate the recycled markets. For example, it would be interesting to have a minimum recycled content in each piece. If it would be 5%, that would already stimulate the whole market. So those are really important steps that policymakers could make. Yeah.
But of course, that's for the local production and design. When you import from other regions, it's important to have a global, view on that. I think,
because very complex, difficult. Yeah, that's also what the influence of, for example, the Chinese market. That also has a big impact on the exports market, and that's also why the pressure has been so high. We see Chinese brands basically pushing their products on the markets, very, very low quality products, and they take over markets. For example, an African second-hand market, they will start selling their new products there very cheap, even cheaper than a second-hand product, and it takes over that market.
So that's not a good evolution we were hoping for.
No, it's really putting a lot of pressure on a global scale. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. What about EPR and the producer responsibility? Do you see any evolution there?
Yeah, it's a bit of the same thing. So, of course, we hope right now, for us, it's very expensive to process items, to collect them, to sort them, because the percentage of incineration is growing. It costs us way more than if we could reuse those items. And in that sense, of course, we are looking to producers and an ESPR to also give the fee as a contribution for processing all that textiles. Right now, that's not happening yet.
So the value gets diversified into the circular supply chain.
Yes. So right now, it's the Kreewinkels paying for the incineration themselves. And it's a difficult discussion because, of course, there is still some fractions that are reusable. So, of course, there is still money coming in, but the amounts, the costs to process non-reusable textiles is really growing. We cannot keep that for many more years longer.
Okay. So call to action important.
Mm-hmm.
Looking ahead to the future, how do you see the role of kringwinkels in the future? Where should the focus be on?
Yeah, I think that's an important one. It's also something that I've worked a lot on the past couple of 2 years with my colleagues at Herwin. We actually made up a theory of change for the kringwinkels. And I think there are 4 important ambitions that we have to focus on. So first, keep improving the reuse percentage. And then second, also developing new business models. For example, the take back and resale model. We could, as a kringwinkel, we could support brands to take back their products and resell them, for example, or a new business model like repairings, rentals. So that's something we should explore more. Then the transparency in the export is also for me an important ambition. And then, of course, the development of the recycling processes, which we're already making steps in, because the first sorting lines have already been built and adapted to sorting for recycling. So yes, we're slowly taking steps.
Okay, so it's not because the project is ending that the result of that project will be implemented.
No.
Do you have any personal ambition for the future, for the impact of that project?
Yeah, I'm happy with the project already. I'm proud of my partners. Of course, I hope they will proceed the cooperation. So that's really something that I would be happy in 2 years if I look back that they are really doing it. That I'm hoping for that. And for myself, I really want to keep growing in the circular economy. And I want to keep using my textile expertise. So for me, right now, that's my goal. And we'll see where it takes me.
Where it takes you. But we have been with Ellie.Connect as well, a partner in the project as well. So when it comes to building cooperations, I'm sure we're going to continue supporting that ambition.
Yes, and Ellie.Connect is also in the project, and they've supported us really well.
Okay, that's nice to hear. Call out to the team. Thank you for that. But as you're here on the podcast today, I think you also have an opportunity to make another explicit call to action to the community as well, to the listeners and the viewers today. Do you have anything particular you want to point out? Call to action.
I thought about it because I already knew the question was coming. It's always difficult, I feel, a call for action, but I think what we all should try to do as a consumer, but also as a producer, is to really put the focus on the quality of what we are making, what we are buying. So I think my call to action would be try to find the love back for the garments that you own, for the pieces that you wear, see the quality of them, and to feel a little bit more of love for our wardrobe. And then maybe we buy a little bit less. And we appreciate a little bit more what we have. Yeah,
as it was in the time of our grandfathers.
Exactly. And it changed on only a few generations.
True. So it's a call out to the current generation to buy good quality. I think as a Belgian spinner we can agree with that.
Exactly.
But definitely reduce and buy good quality is a first step, I think, to improve this supply chain. Thank you very much, Els, for your insights, your passion, and your contribution to this project. And we hope we will continue doing great things.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for listening. Bye.
If you are a fan of the Ellie Talks podcast, make sure to give us a like or leave a positive review. And remember, there's plenty more inspiring content on your favorite podcast platforms like Spotify or YouTube. We hope to see you there.